whenever I think about wrestling, it's always in like a theoretical way now, because analyzing wrestling can only be done in a theoretical way. Like, what makes this thing work? Like, okay, let me actually pull it up, because I want to see if this has legs as like a concept for a video. All right, so this is an alignment chart that I've made, and it's based on matches. So like gimmick matches. So it like works, doesn't work, and good versus bad. And these are like the different like, political alignments. You have, there's the good ones, the ones that are good that work. There's the bad taste, which are bad, but they work. At least you tried. It's good, but it doesn't work. And then the bad and don't work, kill yourself. I want to do a video that is like it's so wrestling theory. It's pure wrestling theory. Is the Elimination Chamber, does the gimmick work, and is it good or not? Is the gimmick bad? Does it not work? And like talking about wrestling matches on these axes, and like why a gimmick might work versus not work, and what makes a gimmick bad but still works. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense to anybody? Is this an interesting idea, or is it just something that I'm interested in talking about? Elimination Chamber is right here. It's right there. I think that the Elimination Chamber is like one of the best wrestling gimmicks ever. I think it works. I think it's good. It changes the entire field of play. It's like, it's open-ended. The only way that you can have a bad Elimination Chamber match is if the match means nothing, but that's like all wrestling. Ladder. Where would I put ladder? I think it's good. It's not as good as Elimination Chamber, I don't think. I think it works, though. I think a ladder match works. Yeah, I think a ladder match works. The only chamber matches that don't work are a handful of tag team ones. I think so. Okay, to be clear, works versus doesn't work is not like evidence of it working. Obviously, that can help, but like I think that when I say works, it's just like, does it communicate what you're trying to go for? WWE probably has had bad Elimination Chamber matches. I've personally never seen one, but they have to exist because WWE was not good for 2 decades. So to me, it's just like you could have a match that has never had a good match, and I in my twisted head, I think it works. I think that if there are a bunch of bad matches, like, okay, fine, it doesn't work, but I could still think it's good. Do you like that NXT Deadline Gimmick Gauntlet? Is that the thing that's like the Championship Scramble mixed with Iron Man rules? Like you get like score points and stuff like that. So the Championship Scramble, I don't know how people feel about it generally, but I think Championship Scramble is good and doesn't work. I think it should be like here because I think it's really good. It's open-ended. It's smart, but people are too confused by it. I don't think it's down here. I think it's probably more like here. The evidence shows that it didn't work. That doesn't mean it can't work. Now, the problem is, I'm going to pause the music for this. The NXT match is flawed because the logistics of it don't work for me. So the Championship Scramble, for those of you who don't know, is a match where it starts out with 2 people. Every 5 minutes, someone new comes in. I think the match lasts 25 minutes, 20 minutes maybe. And so it's like, I think it's a total of 5 people. And so the person who comes out last has only 5 minutes in the match. And the person, if you get a pin, you are basically the champion. And so if essentially the rules are the last person to get a pin in the match once time has expired is the champion. Cool. WWE made it as confusing as possible by talking about the interim champion, and that's why you get the screenshot of like Brian Kendrick, current WWE champion. It confused too many people. They made it like saying the last person to have gotten a fall after time expires wins the match. That's easy. They made it weird. It's a balanced concept because it's the last person to get a pin. So the person who shows up after, like at the end, at 20 minutes in, only has 5 minutes to get a pin, sure, but it's balanced by the fact that they are the freshest, theoretically, in kayfabe. They are the freshest wrestler. Whereas the person who has wrestled first, they have the most chances to get a pin or a submission, to get a fall. But by the end, they are exhausted. It's a balanced system. It's a balanced rule set. The NXT one doesn't work because the person who starts the match and the person who finishes the match, just by way of math, are way less able to get points. The person who starts the match first only has one person initially to get fall off on. So they can only get a maximum of, 1 point? Maybe, because the other thing was they pin someone or they pin or submit someone, and then they have to go in a cage for 90 seconds. So let's say you get a pin after 2 minutes. Now it's 3.5 minutes into the match, and they come out. So it's just you have fewer opportunities to get falls because you started the match with one person. Well, the person who showed up last is also at a disadvantage because they only have 5 minutes to accumulate points. Making it cumulative as opposed to like definite, to me, unbalances the match to a point where I think that it's bad. The Royal Rumble should be top right. Let me bring it up. Are we just making the alignment chart now? I don't know how big of fans you guys are of me. And like, because, there are people who are like fans of mine who only watch the videos, don't follow me on Twitter. I fucking hate the Royal Rumble. I loathe the Rumble. I think it's a dog trash match. And like, take out the name Royal Rumble. If they ran a 30-man battle royal, over the top rope battle royal that lasts an hour on any wrestling show, it sucks. It's cool to watch live and like see the pops for the entrances and stuff like that. The match is bad and it's too long, and most people who love it and watch it, like drop in to watch the Rumble, they don't care about the rest of the rest of the year. They don't care about the match that it sets up. So you're taking out like the enjoying the booking part of the Royal Rumble. The match, there's nothing to enjoy about the match. And so what is there to enjoy is like 15 seconds of an entrance. And to me, you could just watch that on YouTube later. You don't like the Rumble, you like moments. And that's fine, but don't defend the Rumble. The Royal Rumble's terrible. It's all the way over here on bad. Unfortunately, for me, there's no question that it works. It works, dude. Like, people love this dog trash match. It's terrible. It's such a shit match. It's so long. It's like, it's boring. The idea of it is cool. It's just like, oh, you get to see people and you get to be surprised by moments. But like, I'm someone who likes content in wrestling, personally. Just me. I like content. So I don't like moments because there's another 50 minutes of this match. Do the whole chart. All right. We'll do the whole damn chart. Okay. There we go. It's all in a row now. We can actually do it. Real quick, where would the Firefly Funhouse match go? The Firefly Funhouse match was not a match. It was a music video. And I don't count those. War Games. Where do we think War Games goes? Classic match style, 2 rings, cage, perfectly constructed to blow off a feud between 2 groups. It's set up in a way that maximizes pops and character moments and feuds. What a match War Games is. No one can ever question. So, really quick, War Games absolutely works. No question that War Games works. It's designed too well not to work. Great match, but can only really be structured one way. Yes, absolutely true. To me, what makes a good gimmick is versatility. If there's only one way a gimmick can go, to me, it's bad. If you fuck with the structure of war games at all, even if you give the faces the advantage, people are like, no, war games doesn't work. The heels have to get the advantage and the faces have to win. So to me, war games is bad. War games is, to me, the peak of this. It works so well, but it's bad because it can only go one way. Ultimate X. I think Ultimate X is, it's like a signature match for TNA from their era of like really experimenting. Where, you get the blindfold cage match, the reverse battle royal, their cage that like was like a dome that you had to climb out of. That I think is kind of cool, but it doesn't really work. Ultimate X is from that era of TNA experimenting, and to me kind of killed experimentation in wrestling a little bit because people are so terrified to beat TNA. There's a reason why a lot of those didn't work. It's because they were bad ideas. But what's funny is that Ultimate X is the worst. It's the worst idea possible. It's so stupid. It is like one of the worst ideas I've ever seen in wrestling. Let's make a ladder match where there are no ladders, and the only way to win is to slowly climb an X hanging over the ring made of ropes. And the only reason why it can exist is because AJ Styles took a couple of the best bumps of all time, so people think this match is sick. I think that Ultimate X, if there was no way, like if this chart just kept going and going and going and going, Ultimate X is wherever it stops. When it gets to the ice wall of the flat earth, that's where Ultimate X is. Ultimate X is so stupid. It is such a bad idea. It's overly complicated. It's stupid. It's very unique. And there's a way to pitch it that I think is kind of cool that kind of dissipates over time. I think Ultimate X does work more than it doesn't because it is so unique and the talent who work it are very good. But there's a reason why there are two moments in Ultimate X that anybody remembers. It's AJ Styles doing the bumps and Team 3D climbing a ladder and taking it down because it's so antithetical to the X Division. Those are the only two moments at Ultimate X that anybody remembers because the match is bad, but it works because it's so cool and striking, and it apes off of the legacy of the X Division, and it's hard to not have the legacy of the X Division kind of influence that. Table match. I think a table match is actually kind of good. I think it's kind of good. The idea of it, like, it changes how you have to wrestle a match. It has like a prop that has a link in people's brain to being cool. I think that a table match is a bad thing to like do on like a blow off for a feud. I think that if it's on a pay-per-view, it doesn't work. Like if it's meant to be like a big match, it doesn't work. But a TV table match, I think it's good, and I think it works. I think it works like a little bit because there are so many more variables for it to not work. But it's like it's not bad. It's definitely not bad, and it doesn't not work. It works pretty well. Stretcher match. I don't understand anybody who likes a stretcher match. They're slow. They're boring. You can't do spots in them. And it's just like, if you're trying to go for the association of like, he's in a stretcher and he can't move, and so that means he's really hurt. I don't know. It's just unimaginative. Stretchers peak. Kill yourself. It's bad. It doesn't work. It's a terrible match. It's one of the worst that I feel like is like a legacy gimmick. Speaking of legacy gimmick, Steel Cage. Steel Cage is a match that I think a lot of people have misconstrued, because Steel Cage, a lot of people have the perspective that a Steel Cage match doesn't work if you can escape as a win condition, because it kind of defeats the purpose. Like, you're supposed to be locked in with each other, and one of them is trying to get out. But to me, that opens it up for like things to happen. It opens it up for bigger spots. Like, otherwise, there's no reason to climb up the cage and do a spot off of it. It opens it up for overbooking a little bit, like with interference. The idea behind it is like a coward is running away from a strong babyface who wants to fight, and so they're locked into a cage with each other. Well, then the coward should have the win condition to be able to like escape and win the match, because it just makes it more satisfying when the babyface does get a hold of him, to me. So I don't have a problem with that part. So I think a steel cage match on its face is good. I think it's good, but I don't think it works. And that's because it's 2024. And to me, it's just like, what do we need a steel cage match for when something like Hell in a Cell exists, when overbooking is already so prominent in so many other match styles? Like, steel cage is like iconic wrestling imagery. Like, it's done in a steel cage. But to me, it limits you too much to be good. Like, to be too good. Because, like, it limits you to within the ring, so you can't leave the ring. And if people got their way, then you can't leave the ring no matter what, so you have to stay within it. And the trade-off is you can, like, throw people into the cage. And I don't think it's a very good trade-off. I think that there aren't a ton of things that you can do with it versus other cage-style matches. To me, there's just so much more that you can do in every other steel cage style, because all of them are iterating on the steel cage match. Pure rules. I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing here? Are we like going to question whether or not Pure Rules is good? Like, I think Pure Rules is so good that it shouldn't even be a stipulation. It should just be the rules of wrestling. Rules are good. Rules are safe. You can do so much more within rules than without rules. People don't know that. People don't realize that because their minds are small. It's only not at the top of like works and good because I think people are genuinely too stupid. Like, they hear Pure Rules and how it's pitched, and it's like, oh, we have to do more headlocks. It's going to be more like sports. You can't do flips. No, just wrestle a regular match. There are just more distinct and stringent rules. Punjabi Prison. I mean, what are we doing here? What are we doing? Punjabi Prison, and I'm going to bring this to the front. Punjabi Prison is so bad because it literally you can't even see it because of my face cam. The Punjabi Prison match is so bad because it literally cannot be good. What is the best option for a Punjabi Prison match? Do people remember the rules of a Punjabi Prison match? Dead ass. Because I think a lot of people see the Punjabi Prison and they think, oh, you know, it's like it's a pure escape thing. There's two cages. There's the Batista spot where he jumps between them. But like, do you remember the rules of a Punjabi Prison match? You're in the first cage, and I don't even want to call it a cage because it associates it with a steel cage match. This is not a steel cage match. It's so overly complicated. The first cage has like these small doors that you can ask to be opened, but only for 30 seconds. And once the 30 seconds elapses, they close and are tied shut. And there are 4 of them. And it's like, okay, all right, sure, man. And then you get out of the first prison, and then you have to climb the other one. And it's like, I defend the steel cage win condition because it's an option. The Punjabi Prison match, that's the only win condition, and it's extra complicated. I talked about this to a friend, and he was like, nobody good was in a Punjabi Prison match. And that's true, but what's the best like spot or moment that you can have in a Punjabi Prison match? It would be Batista jumping between them, but who cares? It's bad. It's by far, I think, the worst gimmick match ever. I can't even fathom a worse gimmick match. Like, to me, it just doesn't, the whole thing doesn't make sense. What if they put a tiger between the two cages so you wouldn't want to escape and it's pin and submission only? True. Last man standing. Fuck, what a good idea for a match, right? Like, what a good idea for a match. No pinfalls, no submissions, no countouts, no disqualifications. Just two guys fighting until one of them can't stand up. It's such a good idea. It's such a good idea. It doesn't work. I don't think it works at all. And it doesn't work only because it's boring. A lot of wrestling matches have this problem where it can't end, like practically, it can't end for a long time. In kayfabe, the problem with like a thing like the Royal Rumble is that it has to go for at least 30 minutes. Minimum 30 minutes. Because everyone has to come out and there's 1 minute in between and there's 30 people. So that match has to be 30 minutes. An Iron Man match has to be this amount of time. Last man standing match doesn't have to be a set amount of time, but in a way, it does have to be. Because it's not just like you can quickly roll up somebody in like, so there's no like exchanges where it's like, oh, I'm going for a quick roll up to try to sneak a win. Like those moments in the beginning of a match. Last man standing is intrinsically, you have to fight, you have to hurt a guy enough to keep them down for 10 seconds. And that's 10 wrestling seconds. That's a lot of seconds. Because of that, last man standing matches are boring. They're kind of boring. Remember when Cena tied Batista's feet to the ring post so he couldn't stand? See, I like that. That's a good idea. That's why this gimmick can work. A lot of people think it's like kitschy and they view it as a violent match. When to me, I think that the reason it's good is because you can do stuff like that. The win conditions are just a little bit more broad and open. King of the Mountain. What the fuck were they thinking? Do you guys know the King of the Mountain rule set? It's 5 guys, burgers and fries, and you have to get a fall to qualify for winning the match. So then, let's say you get a pinfall. You qualify. You're able to win the match. Then, second part, it's a ladder match. But it's not really a ladder match. It's a reverse ladder match. You have to climb a ladder holding a belt, put the belt up, then you win, and then you have to take it down to celebrate with the title, which is like 40% of the appeal of a ladder match is the shot of people holding the title celebrating with it. I think that for all the shit that TNA gets of a blindfolded steel cage match and a reverse battle royal, for some reason they don't get shit for these two, for the King of the Mountain and the Ultimate X. Some reason they just get off scot-free. Those are the worst ideas, and for some reason people think they work. They're bad. They're really bad because it's overcomplicated. You're taking the idea that is basic, ladder match, there's a thing above the ring, and you're making it dumb. Knock it off. Iron Man. Iron Man is good, I think. The idea of an Iron Man seems antiquated to me because the idea of an Iron Man comes from an era where matches tended to be shorter. And so this match is like, it's regulated to be long, 30 to 60 minutes. And because of that, you have to like adjust for the mandatory length by making the falls cumulative. I don't think it works. For the same reason steel cage doesn't work, so it's down here. But I think it works less than a steel cage. The idea of an Iron Man is good, but when there are people on WWE shows having 35-minute matches, what's the value in an Iron Man match? There are ways to make the Iron Man match good, but it's just like, I think that a match like a 2 out of 3 falls match is just a better version of an Iron Man. I don't think I have 2 out of 3 falls on here, but it's a better version of an Iron Man because there's no set time limit, and there's still the suspense of like you're down like one of the people that you like is down a point. Is Bra and Panties on here? No, Bra and Panties is unfortunately Bra and Panties is up here in the bad and works, because what they were going for was being a sex pervert, and they succeeded, but it's bad. Unfortunately, it's up there with War Games. I Quit match. I had a conversation with a friend of mine because I love the idea of an I Quit match. I love I like changing a win condition from pinfall submission to like it's so intense that it has to be done this way. I referenced, actually, I'm stupid. I referenced Mick Foley and The Rock earlier when I was talking about Last Man Standing, but I was talking about I Quit, where they did like the voice thing. You know the voice thing. That spot sucks shit, by the way. That spot's terrible. The Rock killed Mick Foley and then pulled that gimmick. It's very stupid. The I Quit match, I think it's like the opposite of Last Man Standing. Not in like placement, but I think it's bad. Because to me, an I Quit match has it's restricted in that it has to be a feud ender, and the face has to win, or you just like you have to book like a really shit gimmick. At which point just don't book the I Quit match. You have control of that. You don't have to book it that way. If you have to book a weird ending, I'm of the opinion just don't book it. But if you have an ending with an I Quit match, a face has to win. Because if you book a heel to win, you're a psycho. Or you're not ending the feud. And that, to me, that is it's a restrictive gimmick. I do think that the I Quit match works. And I don't like that it's under here near bad taste. Because it's not bad taste to like an I Quit match like it is to like a Royal Rumble match or an Ultimate X match. But that's kind of how it is. It's bad, but it works. I think it's there. I like I Quit match as a concept, but in the real world, you're very limited to what you can do with it, in my opinion. First Blood. What are we doing here? First Blood match is the dumbest match type possible, and I think that they're notorious for going wrong. First Blood is an awful match style because for it to not go badly, you have to wrestle incredibly late, which makes the match stupid. And then it's like, well, okay, they're bleeding. Who cares? You can fight while bleeding. We've seen it a trillion times. First Blood's terrible. One of the worst match ideas. It's worse. You know what? It's worse. I'm going to put King of the Mountain here. You can't really see all this stuff. It's worse than Stretcher. It's way dumber than Stretcher. Falls Count Anywhere. Ooh, Falls Count Anywhere. I like Falls Count Anywhere. Falls Count Anywhere is like here. Because I think they work. I think it lets you be creative. I think that you can do a lot of stuff with it. And I think they're good. I think Falls Count Anywhere is good. I don't think they're as good as Money in the Bank. And why is Ladder Match so good? It's like there. I think Ladder Match is cool. Falls Count Anywhere is a little behind Ladder, but I think it works more. And I think that Money in the Bank, as like, it's held back by it just being like a ladder match. But the gimmick is good. I just think it's less utilized. It's not as good as Pure Rules, so I'll bring it actually down. That's good. I like that. Exploding Barbed Wire Death Match. Now, a lot of people who have opinions on stuff might say that this is bad because, like, explosions, like, they're not actually getting hurt in explosions, and so it makes the gimmick feel soft. And then they'll reference, like, the ending to the Moxley and Kenny match where it's like it got fucked up, blah, 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 blah. Exploding Barbed Wire Death might... It works to the max, I think. I think it absolutely works. And it's good. Anyone who says that it's bad or it doesn't work, you're wrong. The Exploding Barbed Wire Death match is like, it's such an easy match to do. it's like impossible to fuck up if you're playing the gimmick. Like, the gimmick inherently is there's barbed wire as the ropes, and there's explosives at ringside. So unless you just never touch the ropes, and even then, you could not touch the ropes. Like, Jonathan Gresham could have one of those matches where he just never touches the ropes, but it's so tense. You feel it. Oh my God, it's so tense and delicious and salacious. I think that the only way that you can like fuck it up is literally if you just get too ambitious and put everything on like a big explosive finale, like the Moxley Kingston stuff. And if that doesn't work, that sucks. But that's not the idea's fault. The idea was so good. It works. It's good. It's a good gimmick. It should be over, but it should be more over this way. But I think there are better ones. Hell in a Cell has 2 iterations of the match. There's one which is really good and it really works, which is that it is a steel cage match with weapons. That's up here to me. That version of Hell in a Cell is perfect. It's not that though, is it? Hell in a Cell is not pitched that way. It's pitched as a life-changing, career-altering experience because Mick Foley got thrown off of a tower and died. So you have two existing ideas where you can't have the match be pitched as you will literally die and then just do a steel cage match with weapons under the ring. Can't do that. But also you can't run a match that lives up to you will literally die. Because Mick Foley shouldn't have died. They shouldn't have let him do that. If you take away the baggage of Hell in a Cell, once again, it's up here. It's one of the best gimmick ideas ever because it's literally just a big cage with weapons. Mwah. Inspired thinking. It's not that, though. Unfortunately. So, unfortunately, it's like down here. It's good. It slightly doesn't work because of all the baggage that it has. It just has too much. Because if you don't have that baggage, what an incredible match. So hard to fuck up. It's just a steel cage match with weapons. You just have more stuff to do. Dog collar match. That's up here. I think it's very slightly below Elimination Chamber. Like, it's like right here. But it's good. It's so easy to make a dog collar match work. You can run it as a blood and guts shit show. You can run it as like just... I think that this is what people want steel cage match to be. Where it's like you literally cannot get away. We are tied together. Same idea of like a strap match. But strap matches... I don't know if dog collar matches have like you have to touch the 4 corners. That's shit. That just makes it like the match is harder to win. So you can't just pin someone or choke someone. It has to be more complicated to give people their money's worth. Whatever. That's old school carny wrestling shit. But like a strap match is like the same as a dog collar match to me. If it's just like you're tied together, you can't escape one another, you have to fight. Does overusage of a match type influence your opinion on the concept? No. Because I think if a match type is good, then it will always be good. And if it works, then it should work more often than it doesn't. I think you can have a bad Pure Rules match. I've never seen one personally. I think you can have a bad dog collar match. I think that you can have a bad Elimination Chamber match. It's just you have to like actively try to not work into what makes the gimmick work. And the only way that overusage can play for it is like if you like the novelty of it. But to me, I like the booking sense that they make, if that makes sense. Like an exploding barbed wire death match, obviously you don't want to overbook that because the novelty is in like the visual of it. But I think that like the idea is so sound that if you did do it regularly, it still works as long as you have the ideas to match the frequency, because you can't just run the same match type over and over. That's why I think that these matches, like War Games, you have to basically run the same style of match again and again and again. That's why it's bad. It's just so well thought out that it works. Buried Alive. I mean, there's no question Buried Alive is bad. Does it work? I think visually people like Buried Alive. But no, the wrestling match is bad. It's not as bad as whatever shit is going on down here. But Buried Alive's bad. Because it's like, it's a cool visual at the end, but the match is bad. They're always bad. I think this is a good chart. I think this chart works. This chart, really quick, I just want to... What about ambulance matches? Ambulance matches are just stretcher matches, but worse. So we're going to take our chart, and our chart is up here. We did a good job here, friends. Good job making the chart. Oh, the Inferno match. I didn't think of the Inferno match. The Inferno match is down there and kill yourself. Like, the Inferno match is all the way in the gutter to me. How do we think this went? How did we like it? I think it went well. I think it was a fun time. I like charts. I'd say they work very personal.
Well, Forrest and Aiden, I'm a circus superstition who won't sing. I love the Beach Boys and I ride the waves, but my true passion is wrestling, I gotta say. Oh, Forrest, he's the one who tells the hard truth about the moves and the stats he's got to prove. He loves Jay White and he's never been wrong. Forrest got the knowledge, he's got it going.